Again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, colleagues. Thanks to those who have already joined us. So let's start our webinar. So before we start, please take note of the following housekeeping logistics. First, if you have any technical issues during the discussion today, please share them via the chat, and our team member will try to help you. So we ask for your patience in allowing for some delays due to internet connectivities. Second, we invite you to participate in our discussion by sharing any questions or comments with the panelists through the chat window. Type your message in the chat box. You can also ask for the floor to share your country experience and ask questions. Thirdly, the webinar is only in English. However, you can use the artificial intelligence system embedded in the MS Team to get the transcript translated into your preferred language. Finally, the webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be shared on the event webpage as well as the presentations. In today's webinar, we will receive presentation on demystifying STAT tools for skill development for official statistics. Without further ado, let me start the webinar. Our moderator, who is Oliver, is not going to be here because he has a delay on his flight that make it impossible for him to connect timely. So I will take over this role. So before maybe giving the reading the speech from Oliver, I want to play with you the message from the chair of this. This is the global. This is the global network of Institute for Statistical Training. So I want to give the floor to Elena. Elena Proden is a specialist in strategic implementation of the 2030 agenda unit in UNITAR Division for Satellite Analysis and Applied Research. Elena worked on the design and delivery of learning and training projects and tools to support the mainstreaming implementation and monitoring of the SDGs and effective data use in the decision-making in collaboration with UNDESA, UNDP, and other partners. She also provides methodological support for the piloting of these tools at the regional and country levels with a geographical focus, primarily in Africa, Asia, and Eastern Europe, Caucasus, and Central Asia region. At UNITA, Elena has also been contributing research analysis on evidence-based decision-making and public policy design, regional and international cooperation, and sustainability issues. Elena currently represents UNITA in the global network of Institutes for Statistical Training, leading task teams on technology and innovation and data literacy. She had also been actively involved in several interagency initiatives to ensure a coherent approach to capacity development support at the global and country level. Elena is also the current chair of the global network of Institute for Statistical Training. So let our team to play the record of Elena's intervention here.
Dear participants of the StatsTalk-Africa webinars, I'm very pleased to welcome you to today's edition on behalf of the Global Network of Institutions for Statistical Training, known as GIST. I am the current chair of GIST, and I also work at the United Nations Institute for Training and Research. So today's webinar will be a great opportunity for GIST to showcase to you a product that we have developed specifically for use by national statistical offices, national statistical systems, and training institutions. So we have several members of GIST who have been working actively by putting together their expertise and knowledge to try to develop an approach and guidance that could be useful for national statistical systems around the world, and in particular in those countries who have been struggling with putting in place training programs for their staff and meeting the training needs of their staff. And when I say GIST, in fact, I refer to a very diverse group that includes international organizations, regional training institutions, but also several national agencies who are active in technical cooperation. Perhaps just a few words about the tool and the approach. STAT tool, you will learn more about it from the presentation by my colleague Charlotte Hansen later today, and also from the case studies experiences of the countries who have already applied it or in the process of applying it right now. What we've been really trying to achieve, in fact, was to address the need when it comes to having a more strategic approach to human resource development within national statistical systems. The idea was really to help national statistical offices to develop an approach, own it, and so that then those agencies and partners who can support them in offering training align their offerings with the needs of national statistical offices and not vice versa. So it's not supply driven, but really demand driven. We're also hoping that this tool can help national statistical offices, in fact, develop an approach to training their staff, but also staff within national statistical systems in a way that would align with the strategic priorities that they see for the development of statistics in their countries over the next years. This tool can be very useful in terms of assessing the training needs by looking at the perceived needs from the individual staff, but also by reviewing how managers see the training needs within the organization and matching the two sources of information. And finally, perhaps just to conclude and say, the STAT tool is a first step that can help inform the development of training plans and strategies for your institutions. And then also, we are working now with several members of GIST to help also and map some of the learning resources and courses that may be available globally or regionally, that then you, once the assessment has been done, you could use to fill in, or you could use as a useful resource for your staff. But above all, we believe that this is also a first step in helping national statistical offices to promote learning culture within statistical organizations and use a mix of training approaches from formal training programs to informal learning, self-learning, peer learning, etc. So I hope you will enjoy this webinar. Please do reach out to us if you have any questions. And also, I wish you a very good session. And I would like to thank also the countries who are sharing their experience today on behalf of GIST. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. This record of intervention was made yesterday afternoon. So let me now read the intro introductory speech of Oliver, as indicated before. For those who just joined us, Oliver's flight has been delayed, so it's not possible for him to connect now. He's still been traveling. So this is his opening introductory speech. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to the 9th webinar of the StatsTalk-Africa. StatsTalk-Africa is a monthly webinar series initiated by the African Center for Statistics to provide a space for dialogue with data experts and users about data, statistics, and innovative tools. Our focus today is on the statistical training needs assessment tool, also known as STAT. The global network of institutions for statistical training, this developed the tool to help national statistical offices assess and analyze staff skills gaps and decide how to prioritize and meet competence development needs. Recent technical and technological developments offered many opportunities to optimize processes and performance, achieve economies of scales, and effectively meet customer needs. The private sector takes advantage of this daily. As an illustration, machine learning techniques and the use of artificial intelligence algorithms allow companies to understand their customer better in order to manufacture products and services that meet their needs. To achieve this, in addition to investment in infrastructure, they invest in human resources. They do this either by looking for talent they do not have or by developing internal capabilities. For them, having the necessary profiles to carry out their missions is a must. Ladies and gentlemen, statistical systems are not left out in this process, which aim to have quality human resources to support statistical production and respond effectively to user needs. Indeed, the program for the transformation and modernization of official statistics in Africa, initiated in 2020 at the request of the Statistical Commission for Africa, give pride for place to capacity development. Having noted the statistical capacity remain a challenge for statistical development in many African countries, the roadmap for the transformation and modernization of official statistics has placed particular emphasis on these aspects. It recommends capacity building and training that are better adapted to the varying level of maturity of national statistical systems, and capacity development that are focused not only on traditional technical statistical capabilities, but also on supporting suitable and agile responses by national statistical systems to the modern data ecosystem. It includes human capital and capacity development among the priority enablers for transformation and modernization. With this as a compass, the head of national statistical offices and other structures in the national statistical system are asking how they can assess their capacity development needs and skill gap to develop an appropriate capacity development program. Ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing the STAT tool today because it provides national statistical offices with very precise information to develop their capacity building program in order to accelerate their transformation and modernization. Such a program will allow them to seek the support of their partners for its implementation and thus fill the gap. This will also allow them to progress towards the desired state of the national statistical system by gradually changing the level of maturity. The African Center for Statistics remains available to support countries in this progress as part of its program for the transformation and modernization of national statistical systems in Africa. The center is already implementing several capacity building components in this direction. They cover specific areas such as transformative leadership, digital censuses, and data science in official statistics. In addition, the center has a specific program for young statisticians called Takumu Young African Statisticians, which aims to make them the spearhead of statistical development on the continent. In this context, the young statistician benefit from an appropriate capacity building program. The latter includes, for example, training session on data science tools in collaboration with the regional hub on big data and data science in Rwanda. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I hope this webinar helps unpack the power of the tools the expert will present, which is already being used in some countries. Selected ones in Africa will share this experience today. We hope today's discussion will help identify and fill capacity gap to accelerate the transformation and modernization of African national statistical systems. With these remarks, I may wish ourselves a fruitful discussion. Many thanks. So this is the message from Oliver. So now, we're going to move now to the presentations. The first presentation is titled Introduction to Strategic Competence Development and the Statistical Training Needs Assessment, STAT tool. So the presentation is going to be delivered by Charlotte. So Charlotte is a consultant from a UNSD consultant. So for Charlotte, you have the floor for 14 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leandro. So let me share my screen. All right, so I will give an introduction to the Statistical Training Needs Assessment tool, also known as STAT. Elena has already in her introduction give a little bit of background for what STAT does and why it's needed. But it's basically a tool for the National Statistics Office to identify, prioritize, and meet the learning needs of the staff. And the idea is that STAT is country owned, so it's a tool that's available and in theory managed by the Statistical Office, and a way to help the Statistics Office to more strategically decide about the competence development of staff and how to approach it, and integrate learning in a way as a regular task of the National Statistics Office. What's also been mentioned is that it also has an element of giving focus to the learning needs of those staff within the National Statistical System who also produce statistics. So the tool was needed because GIST had earlier on made an assessment on what different countries are doing regarding statistical training programs and how they approach competence development of their staff. And there was a big variety in what countries do. Some don't really have a strategic approach and others do a lot. So it was very diverse. And there was obviously a need to provide some sort of a tool that could support countries in thinking more strategically about competence development. So STAT consists sort of 4 phases. So I will go through each of the phases. So the first one is to collect information on the skills gaps that staff has and their learning needs. For this, we have 3 questionnaires. They're in Google Forms, so anyone can access them. 2 of the questionnaires are for National Statistical Office. One is is an individual needs assessment where we ask the staff to self-assess their knowledge on a range of different skills and their needs for training. The other questionnaire is for the managers of the National Statistics Office, where we ask them about the exact same skill set, but from the viewpoint of a manager, thinking more about what do they believe their teams have of training needs, thinking also about the future. And And the idea is to also compare these two viewpoints in a way from the organization, because there might be different interests, there might be a lot of overlapping interests, but there might also be different interests or different needs identified, and these are important information to have. And then finally, there's the questionnaire for those staff that work with official statistics in ministries and other public authorities. So we have 157 skills identified for different type of staff. We look both at people that works with statistics production, but also all the other functions that's needed for a National Statistics Office to function. Of course, IT is an element, communication and dissemination of statistics. And then there are all the staff that works in all the support functions, so finance, human resources, and other type of administrative and secretarial functions. And then, of course, not to forget, we also have the managers. They also need skills to be good managers, so they are also crucial. So basically, there are just two questions in the questionnaire for the individual staff, and that is to identify the level of skills people have, from a range from I have no skills to I have advanced skills, or also there's also the option to say this skill is not relevant for me, because of course not all skills are relevant for everyone, even though you work with the same area. And then we ask them also to prioritize how important it is to upskill. So meaning from it's not a priority, it's okay, maybe I'm at basic level, but I only need it for a basic level, so therefore it's okay to, it's a high priority for me to receive training or to learn more about this area to perform better. And then for the managers, we also asked them to identify the number of skills that would need, or the number of staff who would need training in different skills and at what level. We have set up the questionnaires in a way so the skills can be adjusted to the specific requirements of the country, because of course there will be differences in country to country. And the next slide here is kind of just to give you an idea of the structure of the questionnaire. So there are some instructions, of course, for the respondents. Then there are basic information about how many years of experience they have and which area they're working, etc. And then we also have some questions about their preferred way of learning, listing a whole bunch of areas from more formal learning to more informal type of learning. And then there are some statements that gives us a feeling of what are their attitudes of the staff and also managers to learn, and how they see their organization help them to learn. And this is something I will talk about a little bit later, about this learning organization and learning culture. And then the different staff will be taken to different sections of the questionnaire depending on which area they work in. And then there's a set of skills for that specific area. If you're a manager, you fill in an additional section, and then we have at the end a section that's relevant for all respondents. So it's related to personal skills and some basic software skills, and also understanding of the national statistical system. So STAT also provides an analysis package where we use some R codes as a mediator to take the data from the Google Sheets that comes from the Google Forms into a Power BI. And Power BI has been set up with some ready-made visualizations that's going to help the analysis. So it's a matter of linking the data from the Google Sheets to the Power BI, and then this package can be used for the next step, which, oh no, sorry, I'll just look at this. So this is just to give you an example of how it looks in Power BI. As I told you, we have two questions. The first one is the level of knowledge, so where the respondent identify where are their level of knowledge. So for example, if we look at the first one, engagement with external stakeholders, the respondents here have overall pretty good knowledge, so between intermediate and advanced. And if we go to the graphs below, it's on priority to receive training. And there, which makes sense, they have a low priority to receive training because maybe their skills are actually sufficient to uptake their role, and so forth. If we move over maybe just to the next one, facilitation techniques, there it's a bit more diverse, and there are just few with advanced knowledge, and therefore maybe also we can say, well, maybe there's actually a high priority to receive more training. So that's the way the data will be presented, and this will lead to to the next phase of the analysis, which is to look at the data and then start to prioritize among those learning needs. Because of course there will be a lot of needs and it will be impossible to meet all of it. So what's the most crucial identified needs and the most beneficial for both the staff and the institution? So it's about looking at what are the different priorities. And here the tool has provided some criteria for how to kind of guide that prioritization process, because there are of course different considerations to do when you prioritize as an organization. And of course this is not a very easy task, because this is also the task where the organization has to decide what's most important, and maybe it also means that staff are not necessarily trained in all the things they need, because that might just for the time being not be possible. But at least it's a way to get started and think more strategically about training staff. So once we know what are the training needs that we have focused on, the next step is of course, so how do we meet those? How do we build the capacities of those areas we have identified? And STAT is really trying to promote also the use of different types of learning approaches, so both the informal ones and the more formal ones. So the informal ones are more like networking, peer-to-peer learning, in-house discussion groups on different topics, etc. I mean, there are many ways to learn more informally. And then there's the more formal training. Of course, we have the face-to-face training, the more classical one, but there's also now a lot of e-learning available. So we also have instead a whole list of platforms with the links to platforms where NSOs can also get inspiration from and to get access to free online learning. Then the idea is to develop a 2 to 3 year institutional learning plan. So basically identifying what do we want to train our staff in, how do we want to do that, and when do we want to do that. And it can also be linked to more like individual learning plans for each staff, which is of course a big task as well also, but it gives the relevance of the staff to the training and link in a way the institutional learning plan with the individual staff level. And we also have some recommendations of how to develop a strategy for competence development, and to kind of put training as a strategic priority of the organization. And then finally, there this aspect of moving towards this learning organization, where, and I have a slide for that. Maybe I'll just wait with that in a few slides. So STAT tries also to promote new ways of improving staff skills. So learning takes many forms, not only in the classroom. So we kind of try and introduce this concept of 70-20-10, where 70% of the way people learn is actually just by doing their job and try to solve things along the way. 20% of learning is more informal. And 10% of learning happens through the more formal learning approaches, where we have, of course, classroom training, but also this both self-paced and facilitated e-learning. STAT also promotes the use of staff as trainers, because there are a lot of competence within all statistical offices. So there are a lot of resources there that can be used. So the idea is that experienced staff train other staff. And this can strengthen the self-sufficiency of the organization, and you can meet more specific, concrete organizational needs, because staff training other staff will be more targeted to the actual statistics production. And then again, the use of free e-learning is also an opportunity. And of course, e-learning can sometimes be challenging, especially if you sit by yourself and do the e-learning. So we also have recommendations on maybe how to accommodate some of these challenges e-learning provide, for example, with having the same group of staff doing the same type of e-learning, and then they can meet on a regular basis to discuss their learning and any challenges they have. It can also be facilitated by an in-house staff who might have experience in that particular area that people are learning. And then finally, just on the learning organization, because it's there are a lot of ways to learn again, and the learning organization is something, if we look at the box to the right on keywords, is something about increasing knowledge sharing among staff and units. It's also something about giving time for experimenting, both take time and give time to experimenting and innovation, because that's also a big way to learn. And to think about that failure is a way to learn, that we actually learn a lot from the mistakes we do, and that's okay. There are interactions among staff, which is also linked to this knowledge sharing when finding solution, etc. So people learn from each other as well, and the organization keeps learning by people doing their work and experimenting, etc. And also having a focus on people both learn individually, but they also learn in teams. And we have these statements on learning in both the questionnaire for individual staff and also the managers. And it's really to give the organization an opportunity to know where are we on having a learning organization, and what does it take to maybe become a learning organization, and what do we need to do maybe to move towards a learning organization where we approach learning in maybe a different way than we used to do. So STAT is available online on the website of GIST. All the documents are there for the analysis package, the guide in itself. We also have a quick guide, etc. So yeah, that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte, for these great presentations. So I think with this overview, everyone can understand what the tool can do. And you also indicated that you have material available online. We see that it's a powerful tool to assess capacity at the NSO and support the development of capacity building program. Thank you very much, Charlotte. Let me now, please remember that you can ask questions or share comments through the chat windows. To do this, select question and answer chat from the drop-down menu. So the second presentation is titled Ensuring Staff has the needed skills during the transformation of the Ghana SASICA service. So Dr. Peter Takui Pepra will deliver it. Peter is an assistant chief statistician and director of method and standard at the Ghana SASICA service. He has over 25 years working experience in various capacities in the conduct of household surveys and population and housing censuses. He was the census chief technical advisor for the Gambia in their just ended 2024 population and housing census. He is a seasoned researcher in health-related surveys, such as the demographic and health surveys, multiple indicator cluster surveys, maternal, adolescent, child health surveys, malaria indicators, and so forth. So Dr. Pepra has extensive experience in creating usable data for stakeholder engagement, interpreting data, and disseminating research results to guide policy. Peter is well-versed in project implementation and management of varying complexities. He holds a PhD in social studies and has contributed to over 40 Ghana SASICA service publications and other publications. Peter, you have the floor for 15 minutes, 12 minutes, I mean.
All right, thank you very much, Landry. Colleagues, good morning. And my presentation is basically to share with members the experience in Ghana regarding the utilization of stats. And I have these points as the presentation outline. Of course, I'll do justice to all before I finish within the 12 minutes. Basically, statistical service, I think the past 3-4 years has attempted to transform the institution in terms of production of statistics to drive policy for planning and development. And in an attempt to do that, we looked at possible ways of getting all these things into reality. So we were compelled to carry out an assessment of the institution, and I tried to identify gaps in the existing capacity regarding the intended pathway, that's trying to produce statistics in multiple ways, moving away from the traditional way of producing the needed information. Actually, we had a framework for capacity building, but we realized that the structure was a bit outmoded and needed an attention. So we started asking ourselves so many questions at management meetings. How are we going to relate the existing capacities and their progressions with regards to work output? How the existing capacities and their progression align with value of work, in other words, value for money? And then what internal and external training resources were available, whether they are exhaustive or we need to improve. And the next question was, is it something that can be achieved through training? Or what was training the priority intervention for transformation? Or we needed new set of people or new fresh ideas to beef up what existed? So all these things were issues that we tried to carry out. And in doing that, we started in 2020 to have staff auditing skills. We developed a Google form to share with staff for them to complete it, share with us what they think they have control over. That's with regards to the skills and where they think they need or they needed training or orientation. We also looked at how we can structure knowledge sharing mechanisms, something we even introduced and called it brain circulation, even within the institution and then with external bodies. Coincidentally, it met the time that we're supposed to review our corporate plan. So we used it as another tool to really see how best we can achieve everything that we have in the corporate plan, and therefore still the skills gap that we had needed to be more or less, I would say, the gap in there had to be bridged. We also looked at our competency framework, which would also to help us bridge the gap when it comes to skill sets. We utilized that and developed and I had a survey among staff, that's staff satisfaction survey, to really find out from staff their opinion, their satisfaction about what pertains at that time. All were to feed into the transformational roadmap that was to be used in building the capacity. We identified a structured mix of capacity building interventions by blending our work or getting involved persons in the academia and other areas to along the line learn from them, and also where we think we are a bit weak, we create a room for them to teach or guide some of the staff. Of course, that time we had in mind, or 2023, there was this vision by the government statistician, that's the CAN agenda. We were challenged to come up with changes and move from the traditional way, as I've earlier on mentioned, to automation and then at least creativity. So all these were motivation to enable us move to a different level. And around that same time, there was an opportunity for the leadership of the institution to meet GIST. And through interaction and knowing the objective of GIST, we said, come on, can't we get on board of STAT to at least structure our capacity building initiative very well? So there was the need to have that collaboration to ensure that at least we eliminate inefficiencies, reduce cost, and utilize available resources. There was the need also to think about how best we can get training resources and proper collaboration and integrate a holistic approach that address both individual soft and hard skills development and organizational capacity. Of course, not only that, there was the need to also define capacity building outputs through the alignment of training scope, time, approaches, and the content. Because as work is ongoing, there was the need to also look at the time that one can even utilize to build capacity or his or her own capacity alongside daily or routine deliverables. Doing this, also, we had to guide ourselves with the institutional organogram to ensure that everything aligns with what we have in the system. So as we met with GIST, the tool, STARS tool that had been developed, I will call it a generic type. We had to use our organogram to customize it for Ghana so that at least we can address the skills gap for everybody. If I say everybody, all the staff. And in doing that, in fact, the plan was to stretch it over 3 years, as Charlotte mentioned, 2024 to 2026. And when we did it, initially we thought the interest should be on only the technical or the professional staff. But it was a bit surprising that the IT, the HR, the administration, the finance staff were all in need of some training. So we realized that we need to broaden the scope. So the STARS tool helped us to identify these gaps that we ourselves, we had in the institution. And one surprising thing is, after doing this, of course, we realized that the age classification with regards to staff available, about 87% of staff or the workforce were in the age bracket 41 to 60 years. So the question was, hey, what are you waiting for? There's the need to think of getting new recruits as we think of building capacity. Normally, those who have stayed in for a longer period sometimes assume that we've been here for a longer period. We have knowledge in this, we have knowledge in that. And when it comes to the enthusiasm to learn, sometimes it's a bit low compared to bringing new set of people into the system who are ready or who will be eager, not ready, who will be eager to learn and learn more to catch up with the existing or new development when it comes to the production of statistics. With this, the question is, what has come out so far? We've been able to identify specific training needs in relation to job responsibilities of staff. We've developed training plan based on staff categorization, as we've seen some. Apart from the broader one within the professionals, we have so many categories, those in social statistics, those in economic statistics, and even within these broader headings, we have multiple. So we have now realized that there is a lot to be done. And we've also found a way of building individual learning profiles and then the training methods for each. And the next one is to map and integrate different training interventions. It has also compelled us to look for funding sources because you can't do this without funds, without money. And therefore, budget has been prepared and trying to utilize funds from other areas. We have also allocated time for this exercise because we've realized that dedicating time for even staff to build capacity to be able to deliver well also has certain challenges regarding time constraints. Others want to meet deadlines and at the same time to be trained. So sometimes it becomes a bit difficult to get them convinced and put on the program for a period, realistic period. So plans are even on the way regarding that. We've been able to develop comprehensive learning strategy for not just the National Statistical Office, but National Statistical System involving other MDAs that are also contributing to official statistics. And we are building strong collaboration with Statistics Norway to learn a lot from them. They are ahead of us. And the pictures there are sample pictures of an engagement we had with them somewhere 2023. I think 2024, a team has visited them to more or less, it was more like a study tour. There are plans for them to visit Ghana again next month. So all these are contributing factors to strengthen and ensure that we sustain this training program that we are building through STAT. And these are some of the instruction guides or approaches that I think in Charlotte's presentation she mentioned. And as part of the work that we are doing, we've realized that we can't operate in isolation because we have so many partners. And therefore, we have already engaged the MDAs, that's the ministries, departments, and agencies under the NSS. They've also completed the stats, and we've identified their skill gaps. We've also got on board academia and development partners, CSOs, like civil society organizations and the private sector that are working with us in the production of statistics. And through this, we have managed to establish a holistic process for competence planning and management. In fact, it entails a lot, and we are ensuring it works perfectly. And through that also, we are able to standardize training content, methodologies, and evaluation process to maintain consistency and quality across all capacity building programs within the service and the MDAs. There is this structured development program that we have put in place to nurture talents and ensure a conduit of skilled potential leaders. As I said, there is the need to build capacity of relatively the young ones as well. We've managed to collaborate with Ameristat. I think it's a regional training institute based in Ghana. It was inaugurated just this year, I think middle of the year. And we've shared our strategy with them for them to also work with us to ensure that we have a comprehensive, strategic, and well-structured training program for staff. We've established a robust monitoring and evaluation framework, including learning portals to monitor online training, because that one, it becomes a bit difficult to monitor. Therefore, there's the need to find a way with experts to see how best we can track that, maybe developing a questionnaire to engage staff on quarterly basis, what they've been able to learn. And then we see how best we can benefit from that as well. And then develop a staff learning profile to link capacity building to annual staff appraisal and promotion. In fact, every year we do staff appraisal, and we think it is prudent to link whatever training that staff have to that and link capacity building with value for work. There are certain challenges that, of course, we've gone through, we've encountered. When STAT was introduced in Ghana, sensitizing staff to even get on board was a hectic task, very Herculean task, because people thought it's time wasting because we've done some before and they didn't see much benefits. So there was the need to have regular engagement with the staff within the various directorates. When we finished and shared the the developed questionnaire with them also, they came up with so many complaints that is too lengthy, time consuming, but still there was the need to do something and come to where we have reached. At a point, there was the need to incentivize them, motivate them to get it done for us because we needed it. So we put in something to surprise them in a way. And through that, we managed to get about 100 and over staff to complete the form for us, right from the bottom up to the top, the director's level, so that at least analysis could give us an idea what we are to do. Of course, it has time it's required time during the face-to-face training session, collaboration with stakeholders also within this institution. That's after even coming up with a strategy, when to train staff in order not to affect their daily activities is also an issue. So HR, the directors, the staff are still in collaboration, having meetings to see how best we can streamline it. Even this week, there is a meeting before the end of the week to look at how best we do that. Of course, when this issue also came up, there was the need to refurbish our training center. And I would say that through STATS, we have pushed, and now we have a very good standard let me say, modern technology facility to train staff. The way forward, the last quarter of this year, which has started this month, there are using all the modalities and then the challenges that we are encountering, and see how best we can beef up the process for 2025 in a bigger scale. We are also aiming at getting other African countries on board, offer training to their staff through integrated approaches on production of statistics with innovation and technology. In fact, just engaged Namibia, and we had a meeting with them. They needed support, and therefore, even though it's still at the preliminary stages, when everything is finalized, the team in Ghana is ready to step in to also take them through the process. And it's a way of just helping ourselves and ensure that STATs come to stay. We are also having on board other stakeholders within the NSS, as I've already mentioned, scouting for training resources and collaboration, and then collaboration with institutions to roll out STATs to develop a comprehensive training strategy. Even though we have one for ourselves, but we have realized that it calls for more. It's still a learning process. It's still a living document, which we think we can improve upon it. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the key messages for all of us, saying that we should see STATs as a powerful compass that can guide NSOs towards identifying skills gap, skills prioritization, and enhancement for better data production. It also provides grounds for staff self-assessment and enables staff to reflect on their own skills. And last but not the least, it is a career mirror that has come at the right time for effective utilization by NSO. So, colleagues, let's embrace it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter. I think the slide before this shows key takeaway from the use of STAT tool on your site. So this is a very key message. And from these key messages, and I also I want to add what you also said before, that through STAT tool, you have now a very good standard modern technology facility to train staff, which is something very important for capacity development at the National Statistical Office and also National Statistical Systems. We also record that Ghana is available to support other countries in the framework of this South-South cooperation, which is something we are really encouraging in our program for transformation of modernization of national statistical systems. So thank you very much. Now let me introduce the next presenter, who is going to be Kevin. Kevin will make a presentation on the consideration on a strategic approach to improving staff competencies, a decision to adopt STAT in the Seychelles. Kevin is a the counterpart of the Chief Executive Officer of the National Bureau of Statistics of Seychelles. He oversees the national statistical system, ensuring that strategic planning aligns with international standards. His responsibilities include supervising the production of official statistics in accordance with fundamental principles, leading modernization efforts within the national statistical system, and enhancing data governance practices. Before taking on this role in April 2024, Kevin served as an expert in statistical portfolio planning at the Statistics Center Abu Dhabi for a year-long project from January 2023 to January 2024. Prior to that, he was the principal statistician at the National Bureau of Statistics, managing the economic statistics section, which covered national accounts, prices, tourism, and trade statistics. He holds a Master of Science in Official Statistics from the University of Southampton, UK, and a bachelor degree in mathematics from Edith Cowan University in Perth, Western Australia. His extensive experience underscores his dedication to improving statistical practices in Seychelles. So, Kevin, you have the floor for 12 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Inandre. So I'll share my presentation. Please let me know if you can see it.
Yes, you can see it. Can you put it in the presentation mode? Okay, good.
Okay, all good. So, okay. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from Seychelles. Today, I will discuss the strategic decision to adopt the statistical training needs assessment tool in the Seychelles. This tool, we believe it is essential for enhancing the competencies of our staff within the National Bureau of Statistics and across the broader national statistical system. Before I discuss on the decision to adopt the statistics, the STAT, I would like to provide some background on the National Bureau of Statistics to offer context. Okay. So to begin, NBS, National Bureau of Statistics, is a principal agency for statistical data production in Seychelles. We provide key data on a wide range of economic, social, and even environmental issues. Our mandate is to provide reliable statistics for government policy, public, private sectors, international organizations, and research bodies. Currently, we have a workforce of around 35 officers, and we are administered by a board of directors under the National Bureau of Statistics Act 2010. Okay.
I think we are having a problem with. Yes, we are back now, but you lost your presentation.
Yes, I'm having some issues there, technical issues. Is it possible for you to share the presentation on your side? Thank you.
Give me 1 minute. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so a bit about the vision and mission. We have a newly developed national strategic plan for statistics and NSPS, which lays out our Bureau's vision and mission for a 5-year plan from 2023 to 2027. The vision is to be a statistical pulse of evidence-based decision-making for the well-being of the people of Seychelles. And the mission is to support the advancement of the population through the provision of quality statistics that informs planning and decision-making. So the current functions is shown in the diagram. We have a chairman and a board of directors, chief executive officer, its deputy CEO, and we have an IT, accounts and administration, and a human resource manager. And we subdivided into three sections: the economic, social statistics, and the census, survey, and GIS section. In terms of publications, we have monthly releases, which covers around 5 topics. Quarterly economic indicators, which monitors and assess the economic performance. We have quarterly social indicators, which evaluate the social well-being and quality of life in Seychelles. And we have also several annual publications, which includes comprehensive annual statistics. To name a few, National Accounts is one of them, Seychelles in Figures, Seychelles Abstract, and population, vital population statistics. And also we do have some ad hoc reports based on censuses, surveys, and other data sources. And these are all available on our website. Now, the Statistical Strategic Plan, it was released in December 2023. It shows our aim. Our aim is to modernize and transform the National Statistical System, NSS. And the focus is to be an office, a bureau, which be more resilient, innovative, agile, and be more sustainable. And the scope is to cover key sectors, all the sectors that produce official statistics. Next slide, please. We also have a new act which will be under review, and the objective of the act is to strengthen the NSS capacity and improve the institutional environment. The focus will be based on governance, coordination, and partnership between data producers as well as data users. And the legal framework would support the operations, and also will be clearly define the roles and responsibilities of each entities within the framework. So this is a little bit of a background on what the Statistics Office looks like. We are a small country, small office, and we think that with these new developments, we would like to assess and analyze the skill gaps of our staff currently at MBS. So by doing this, we can identify these gaps, we can prioritize training needs, and decide on the most effective learning approaches, both formal and informal. The tool, we believe it consists, we have 3 questionnaires designed for different staff levels in the statistical production, in field staff, the surveyors, for HR, for IT, for administration and finance, will enable them to gather valuable insights into individual and institutional training requirements. So why did we adopt STAT? So the first point is to identify the skill gaps. So STAT will allow us to pinpoint specific areas where staff may lack essential skills, ensuring that our training efforts are well targeted and very effective. Secondly, is through strategic prioritization. With a clear understanding of our training needs, then as a team, we can prioritize which competencies are most critical for our organization's success. This is particularly important as we navigate evolving data demands and requirements. The third point is the diverse learning approaches. The STAT tool will encourage a broader view of training beyond traditional classroom settings. It also promotes various learning methods, such as on-the-job training, even mentoring, focus groups, and even making use of e-learning platforms, such as LinkedIn, Coursera, edX, Udemy, to name a few, which can be more effective and resource efficient. And the fourth final point is in-house training development. So by utilizing internal resources and staff expertise, we can create a sustainable training environment that will foster continuous learning and development within our organization. Next slide, please. In terms of implementation consideration, as a team, we felt that implementing the STAT in Seychelles, we have to consider a few points. First of all is the customization. The questionnaires, we had to sit down as a team to tailor to meet our specific national context. This will allow us to add or modify the skills that are relevant to our local needs. Secondly is resource allocation. We needed to ensure that adequate resources, both financial and human, are allocated to support this initiative effectively. The third point is stakeholder engagement. This is, we think it's crucial, because by involving all relevant stakeholders, involving the management, the staff from various departments, will help us achieve this implementation successfully. The insight will enhance the assessment process and foster a culture of collaboration. Finally, monitoring and evaluation, establishing mechanism for ongoing assessment on training effectiveness will help us adapt our strategies over time, ensuring continuous improvement in staff competencies. And to conclude, adopting the STAT represents a significant step towards enhancing the statistical competencies of our staff in Seychelles by systematically identifying training needs and employing diverse learning strategies. We can build a more capable workforce that meets the growing demands for quality data production and data analysis. So I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I look forward with the team, Charlotte and the team, to go further analyzing the results and come up with a suggestion for us to improve. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for this presentation. Then we can see now the process you put in place now to adapt the tool for your context. So let me now introduce our last presenter, going to be Samir. Before that, please remember that you can ask questions or share comments through the chat windows. So the last presentation is on overview of the implementation of STAT at the HCP, which is the NSO of Morocco. Mr. Sami Isara will deliver it. Mr. Sami Isara is the Director of Human Resources and General Affairs and at the High Commission for Planning. He holds an engineering degree in digital forecasting as well as a master's degrees in business administration. During his tenure at HCP from 2013 to 2023, Sami worked on several skills development and training projects, including human resource planning, skills assessment, career path system, and job mapping. He also played a key role in designing and implementing the HCP Academy e-learning platform and worked on several training plans. In addition to this work at HCP, Sami is an active member of several institutions and councils such as the board of directors of the Arab Institute for Training and Research in Statistics and the advisory group of the GIS. Sami, you have the floor for 12 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you share my presentation for me? Can you share it, Leander?
Yes, give me 1 minute, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. So today, I'm happy to share with you our experience and to give you just an overview of the implementation of STAT at the RCP in Morocco, because we just start this project. So first, I want to just give you some information about the ACP training strategy. In ACP, we consider that continuing training is key element in any human resource development strategy. And the ACP training strategy, as you know, include different axes and topic. First, we have setting the specific objectives of the strategy, make the assessment, the training need assessment of employees, defining the training content and program, and also after that we have to choose the training mode and methods, formal, informal, e-learning, in-house mode, etc. And as you know, we need human and financial resources to complete that, and we make also the post-training evaluation. So today we are going to talk about the training need assessment. So let me give you information about the current training need assessment system at the ACP. Is based on 3 components. The first one, each year we collect the annual training needs of central and regional entities. So all the employees, they fit form and they express their training needs, and we make some meeting with different departments and we consolidate all the training needs. The second component is important, is we use the output of a study that we conducted in 2021 about skills assessment. It was for over 250 managers and executives, all the managers and some executives. And also we use the outputs and the results of another study is about the forward planning of skills and workforce. It was about 5 years from 2022 to 2026, is to anticipate the future needs in terms of jobs and skills. So we consider that our training needs is okay, but it needs to be constantly updated. You have to launch and to conduct the annual collection of training needs every year. And also we just collect the training topics desired by employees within some area of training plan about statistics, about economy, IT, human resource management, etc. We don't have any idea about each year about the skills of the employee. So we collect, and as I said, we make consolidation of all the training needs expressed by employee. We choose the most relevant, and we organize the annual training plan, and we monitor it. And the second think that it's not possible to carry out the studies like on ongoing basis, like the skill assessment or forward planning of skills and workforce, because these studies are expensive and very time consuming. Next. So it's for the reasons why have we decided to use STAT. The first, that we want a system that takes into account the employee skills assessment when we're looking for the training needs. And STAT provides valuable information on existing skills and also on training needs. And also STAT questionnaire capture a wide range of different and cross-cutting skills relevant to different type of job function, not only statistics, production, but also management, IT, and other job function. It's for this reason that we choose to implement STAT in SAP in our training strategy. So I will give you some what we done until now, because just we starting this project. The first, we make some analysis to appropriate the STAT questionnaire by the team who works on this project. Also, we make the translation of the STAT questionnaire into French, because it's the language that you use most used in our technical work in SAP. And we drafting a simplified guide for the SAP staff on how to use the questionnaire by using the guide given by GIST. And now we dispatch the two questionnaires to all the SAP department at central and regional level. The first one is about assessment of individual learning needs, and the second, the manager assessment of learning needs. The NSS, the third questionnaire, we plan to do it in the next step. So about the timeline of the implementation of STAT, it's come from July to December of 2024. Now we have already sent the questionnaire over Google Form to all departments. In October, now we are following up for all the employees that didn't fit the form and finalize the response to the questionnaire. In November, we project to start the processing and analyzing of the questionnaire results, and we project to plan results presentation at the end of November or the beginning of December. So we have not yet finished all the response, but I want to give you just some information what we collect until now, about 61 response. As you see, we have a lot of employees, they have engineer or master degree, about 70%, but we have also PhD, and the bachelor is the main composition of the employee that responds. And the experience, we have very experienced, more than 60 years, about 30%, and also from 7 to 16 years in the SAP. So it means that we have employees that they had experience in fields. Next, please. About gender, about 50-50 between women and men, their response. And about the activity of the people that they respond, mainly we have about 56% in statistic production, but also in IT, in communication, finance, human research, and other administrative secretariat and management. Is very diversified. So just I give you some results from the Google form. It's not processing with the tools that gives by GIST, but just to have an idea about what we collected until now. For example, in data processing, when we ask the question, do you work in the data processing field? 73% yes, and now. And here you have the level of knowledge, is the assessment of skills, is very important to analyze after all the results in different fields. And here the priority for this in data processing. As you know, you lots of in different components, high priority expressed by employee. Next, for the second one in data analysis, for 67% that they work on data analysis. As you know, the level of knowledge there in some area or some topic, they are just no knowledge or basic knowledge. And for some topics, for example, descriptive data analysis, we have advanced knowledge that by analyzing after all this information, we can produce our training plan to take account of the assessment of skills and of the priority. It just I want to give you some results before ending all the process of implementation of STAT. So what the next steps? As I said, we are following up with employees who have not yet completed the form, because we start in July, and in August and September we conduct big operation. It was the census in Morocco, so all the staff was very busy with the census. Now we finish in 30 September. Now in October we will follow up all the employee, and the team who work on the project will understand and master all the analysis package of STAT that given by GIST. In November, we will make the results processing by using the Power BI setup during the November, and we will organize the result analysis and presentation, of course, with GIST support, maybe end of November or beginning of December, as I said. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sami, for this great presentation. And I wish you also explain why you decided, why HCP decided to adopt the STAT tool. So, and you have seen the process you follow so far, particularly how we deploy the questionnaire to make it, to ensure that it fits your needs. And thank you very much for that. I want to maybe before moving to discussions and questions, I want to thank all the presenters, Charlotte, Peter, Kevin, and Sami. Now, let me open the floor for questions. I don't know if you have any questions, and you can raise your hands, or if you have some questions in the chat box. Elias, please, can you let me know if you have some question in the chat? If you colleagues or participants.
Thank you, Leander. So far,
yes,
there
please.
is no question. There is no question so far.
Okay.
In the chat box.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So I don't know if you, for colleagues who are online, see if you have any question, can you raise your hand, please? It's true that we already exhausted the time for this webinar, but we can allow a few questions, 2 or 3 questions. So let me then ask a question to our colleagues here. Maybe let me start with maybe Ghana and Morocco. How for Morocco, you already have had a system in place, and you come now, you adopted STAT tool after implementing your own systems. So what was the perception of colleagues who you were working with the ancient system of evaluating capability on your side? And for Ghana, how colleagues from sectoral administrations, I mean the other institutions in the national statistical system, welcome the tool on their side? I'm asking this question because in some countries, we don't have the common service, which means that the NSO can easily manage capacity development at the NSO, but not with other land ministries. So I just want to know how the other land ministries welcome the tools and how you use them to improve their capabilities. Thank you. So I don't know who want to start. Sami, yes, please.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So as I said, we already have a training assessment system, but that use some inputs. But by using STAT, it was not to change the system, but it will be complementary. The STAT will give us more updated data about the skill assessments of all the employees. We continue to use the output of the studies, but it will be occasion to compare the results from STAT, what we'll have with the study that we have done in 2021. It will be complementary, and we will have more information updated for all the staff and for all the job function.
Thank you, Sami. Peter?
Yes, thank you very much for your question. You know, I initially mentioned that we have some ministries, departments, and agencies on board when it comes to the national statistical system. And they are all pulling resources from the harmonization, that's HISWAP, harmonization of statistics or West Africa project. So they are all contributing to the production of official statistics. And there are programs that we have even assigned staff from the National Statistics Office to these MDAs to support them in the production because of lack of certain skills. So when they got to know that Statistical Service has got on board of this stats, and we've been able to identify skills gap, we have structured it into high priority, low priority, and medium priority to help beef up the skills of staff to be able to analyze, understand what is pertaining in the global world. They appreciated it, and they themselves even showed interest to get on board because they shouldn't be left behind. And therefore, when we said we have got a tool to guide or to, first of all, share with them to identify the skills gap, they were happy to embrace it. They completed it. And now, at least, we've got to know where they need support. So that's the strategy we adopted, at least, I think, with the use of the National Statistical System in the production of statistics and how we collaborate. We have regular meetings with them so they know what is happening in the global world. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Maybe one question. You said that you are working with Namibia, Malawi. So what are you doing? Which type of support are you providing on this tool for them?
I said we had earlier discussions with GIST in Namibia, and they requested, I remember they requested for helping them to build capacity in this CAPI development, CAPI application development, because it seems they always rely on external support. But fortunately for Ghana, at least we have some staff who have the skill to help develop the programs when it comes to the conduct of surveys and even the censuses. And therefore, we assured them when the meeting was organized by GIST, we said we are ready to provide support when they want to get that training. Of course, as you mentioned, the self-serve corporation must be utilized. So that's what so far we have agreed to do. I think it will depend on when it has to take off. But the team is ready to provide our support.
Thank you. One question for Charlotte. for countries that want to use the tool. So which type of support can be provided? How can you help assist them, Charlotte?
Yeah, so well, so first of all, should be a request sent to STAT. There's an email on the website I shared earlier on where there's information on STAT. So what STAT or GIST has been doing until now is because as I mentioned earlier, in a way, the STAT is really to be driven by the countries. So STAT so GIST on the side provides support and guidance on how the questionnaire should be changed. If the country has the capacity themselves to do the analysis package, that's great. Otherwise, we can see if we can find some sort of support for that. And then we have had a workshop so far in countries once the data has been collected to analyze the results, facilitate the development of the institutional learning plan, discuss HR aspect, how to use in-house expertise, etc. So yeah, so that's what we have done so far. And then with Ghana also, we've had follow-up meetings because we're still learning from the experience of Ghana. I mean, Ghana was one of our big pilot countries together with Colombia. Yeah, so that's what we've kind of done for the time being. And we will have, yeah, just to say, so this year we will have a workshop with in Morocco, the Seychelles, and Kenya, who have also decided to conduct it this year.
Thank you, Charlotte. You shared the link to evaluation questionnaires, but it looks like there's some challenges for opening the questionnaire. You try to fix it, but you're going to send it to your email when you fix the issue. So I don't know if someone wants. Yes, I saw someone. Yes, Elias, you raise your hands. Yes.
Thank you, Leandro. There is one question in the chat which is directed to Charlotte. It says, how can academic institute collaborate with you? How can it be done? This is on the chat box.
Okay. Is this a specific relation to Ghana? I wonder because it mentions GSS.
Yes, specifically to Ghana. Thank you, Charlotte.
Okay, yes, okay, thank you. Well, then I think you should reach out to Peter. I think that would be a great way to do that. Maybe can we share the emails or something? How do we do that? I guess.
Yeah, Charlotte, as you've mentioned, I think we will liaise with them and see how best we use the tool to and possibly tailor it to suit the universities or the academic institutions' interests. Then with that, if they are developing it for their colleague lecturers, we can then fish out what they need, what they want to know. Because now academia is also into research. And therefore, if they need basic knowledge or some tool and understanding in the use of certain tools, I think we can come together and then see how best we can collaborate and help identify the skills gap so that they can structure their training for the lecturers very well. But definitely, if we are to take off something like this, Charlotte, we will collaborate with GIST so that we don't deviate from the global structure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Charlotte. My mentor has saved me. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe last question before we close. The question here is for Morocco. If Morocco can elaborate on the questionnaire guide tailored for their staff. So you can elaborate on how you adapted the questionnaire for your staff.
So just we used the guide from GIST, and we elaborate simplified guide for employee how to use the questionnaire to jump from each question who is concerned by this section or the another section, because as you know we use French. We have translated all the guide from English to French, and we simplified it to be helpful for all the employee. But the content, we used the GIST guide who describe all the questionnaire and how to use it.
Thank you. Yes, Elias.
Thank you, Leander. There is one more question on Burkina Faso raised. This: we need support to improve our statistical system. It says, I don't know to whom it's directed.
I think it's a general request that you need
Yes,
support.
yes.
So it's well recorded. So you share it. By the way, we are sending out a questionnaire to countries, African countries, to collect their needs. This is going to be presented to partners during the 11th Forum on African Statistical Development on 28th October. So this is an occasion for countries to share their needs, to record their needs in the questionnaire that's going to be sent out today or tomorrow. So I just want to indicate also that the questionnaire is now open. You can access it and evaluate the event. The link is there in the chat box. So I don't know if the presenter want to say, any of the presenter want to say a few words before we end this session. No.
Yeah, just I want just to add it for the questionnaire. As you know, the ACP is the National Office of Statistics, but we have other activities like economic forecasting and other activities that's not included in the domain in the questionnaire in STAT. So we will try to work with GIST to adapt some part of the questionnaire to these activities for the ACP.
Thank you, Sami. Thank you for taking the time to attend this webinar, which is a part of ECA effort to provide a space for dialogues about data, statistics, and innovative tools with data experts and with users within ECA, Africa, and the rest of the world. So, but specifically, this statistic tools is conducted monthly by the African Center for Statistics and it serves as a knowledge sharing and exchange platform, and it also demystifies and promotes a greater understanding of key statistical concepts and alternative data sources that could be harnessed in the African context. Thank you for your active engagement and your questions and insights. We also appreciate the presenters for sharing their time and knowledge. We would like really to hear from you. So please give us your feedback by responding to our short evaluation form. We have received so far 4 responses. So please, we were at a certain moment more than 70, well, we are at a certain moment 75 participants. So please share your feedback with us by responding to the short questionnaire. It's going to take only 1 minute. So the link is provided in the chat box. The next webinar of this series is scheduled for November. So I want to thank Charlotte. I want to thank Peter, Samir, and Kevin for their extraordinary intervention and presentations. So thank you all. Let you see, I've seen some hand up. Oh, I saw Symphorien who raised his hand. Okay, maybe Elias, can you give the open his mic, Symphorien's mic, please? It's possible. Symphorien want to say something. Yes, Symphony, your mic is open, so you can take the floor. You want to say one or two things before we end the session. So the rest, is okay. So thank you so much for your participation in this event. So we meet in November for the next session of the StatsTalk Talk. Thank you, and wish you a wonderful end of the day. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Andre.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much. Bye bye. Bye bye, everyone.